This episode of London Real is sponsored by X-Brain. If you live in Europe or the UK, get all of your favorite Onnit products like Alpha Brain, Shroom Tech Sport, even the Bulletproof Coffee from X-Brain. You get it in a matter of days, no foreign exchange, no customs, no problem. Go to xbrain.co.uk and check it out.
That's awesome. So you get into just a crazy,
well, it's like this
Jason mood, and then they just film you, and obviously get the audio, which is probably key.
Yeah.
And then they
proper labs, proper Canon 5D, go into the woods.
You're outdoor.
Minimal distractions. You want to just get into a place where nothing is going to mess with your flow. You were talking before. You have a YouTube channel called Flow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm obsessed with flow. Like you're probably familiar with the term flow, like the sort of the idea of creative flow.
Yeah, you talk. You can tell you're obsessed with flow the way you talk as well. Yeah.
Jazz musicians when they improv, flow states.
Yeah.
Painters when they're painting.
Breakdancing,
Writers
man.
when they're
Some
writing.
people like
martial arts too.
Athletes, martial arts. They all talk about this flow space, right? And so recently, the science of flow space has become very interesting. People want to know because books about optimum psychology always say that flow states are the greatest type of consciousness that humans can be.
Yeah.
It's much better than like money or sex. Being in flow.
You feel like God's flowing. People say that as well. People feel like God's flowing through you, and you're just not even thinking.
Gibran, it comes through you, but not from you. And though it is with you, it belongs not to you. You know, it's like channeling. It's like
in the zone. Yeah. In Japan, they call it no mind. I think and that's the most blissful state to be.
Yes, and frequently for people that are virtuosos in something, after they've spent their 10,000 hours at it, whether it's martial arts or violining or ballet, the 10,000 hours of practice and control are there for that moment in which you let go. As they say in the movie Black Swan, perfection is not just about control, it's also about letting go. So you spend your 10,000 hours and then you get to the point where you shut off the mind and you trust that the knowledge is implicit, and then you can go into a flow state.
Whenever you want.
So the
you think if you log the 10,000, then you can access it?
Well, that would be the hope, right? Like to
Right.
be able to be a flow virtuoso in anything, you still have to have spent the blood, sweat, and tears to become...
Well, you have to be in the right environment as well
Yeah.
to be like about to be. You have to,
to create the right environment. So, but anyway, recently in searching for the science of flow states, there was recently some really interesting stuff that was published. So they did fMRI scans on the brains of freestyling rappers.
Okay,
So they had these rappers just riff on an idea, which is kind of similar to when I'm riffing about something. It's unscripted, right? Yeah.
You are a spoken word artist, really.
I mean, some people have said that, but spoken word artist has sort of this association of a style of performance that I think is different from what I do.
Oh, definitely.
But still, so and then they compared those fMRI scans with rappers that were reciting memorized lyrics. Now I have a very verbatim memory for quotes, so I do a little bit of both. I do freestyling and reciting lyrics and remix the recited lyrics with the freestyle. But what they found in those fMRI scans is that the lateral prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain responsible for self-editing, actually dims during the flow states. So when the rapper is reciting the non-memorized lyrics, when he's freestyling, the self-editing part of his consciousness is not firing.
Yeah.
So it's pure flow.
Yeah.
It's free association without a filter. So think about that.
So that you need to be able to
Now he still needs to be a creative guy that has a certain lexicon, and the martial artist has to have the technique.
Yeah.
But when you get out of your own way, so to speak, the only thing standing in your way is you.
Right, is your own censoring yourself.
Then what happens is that's flow.
Part ego and everything as well.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So are you trying constantly exploring flow and optimize your own flow? Do you watch it in other people and try to see how they get in their flow?
There's a school, there's a place, or an entity, an organization, people should Google it. It's called Flow State University. Flow State University and the Flow Dojo is a group of scientists, writers, thinkers, and neurologists, neuroscientists who are exploring the science of flow states and creating this think tank to sort of teach people how to get in their flow and running all these flow dojo workshops. Because flow is, all these people that are obsessed with neuroenhancers and neuroceuticals and this idea of like enhancing our cognition, these new generation of smart drugs that are surely going to come online. It's all about this, right? It's all about tapping into your maximum potential, flow states, like how do we get flowing, Limitless, right? Like the movie Limitless, and I'm on board for that for sure.
Now sitting right here is the ultimate man of flow here. What Timothy does is, I guess you've probably logged your 10,000 hours, but you get out and you see like an outdoor scene and you flow into it.
Yeah,
right?
it's a lot rehearsed though. It's not just like you run and like, I think breakdancing has more element of flow sometimes where
which is your
when they
background as
freestyle, which
well.
is my background, which helps me put that into free running. But it's, you have an environment and then you have to be creative. You have to think, okay, there's 2 walls here. Most people would just jump, but what can I do that's different? And that's what I'm trying to come up with, a flow. Mine's more of a planned flow of different moves that you've pictured in your head yourself doing and linking.
So do you ever find yourself improvising mid?
There's a bit of that, but no one's. I think that's where the future of the sport is, because
Yeah.
you know it's such a young sport. Not that it's like still filtering through to people that know about it, but I think that's exactly where the future of it is. When you get people are only just starting to log those 10,000 hours maybe, and they're only just starting to like begin. There's a few guys from Russia that look like they do that they just throw their body and they just know they're always going to end up in a certain way and they can just go with the flow. But that's the
because
future.
you can't be invested with the outcome if you want to create a beautiful piece of art. You can't be obsessed with what other people are going to think. You can't be obsessed too much with the result. I mean, you ultimately just have to go and be in the moment.
Enter it.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, isn't that how you make beautiful things?
Yeah.
Yes, well, that's why people say you have to lose yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, people say, I don't want to lose myself. I like myself. I'm like, what they mean by lose yourself is that, like, forget the critic. Forget, self-consciousness is not the same as being conscious. Self-conscious is when you go up on stage and you get nervous and you're all self-conscious and you think everybody's looking at you and scrutinizing you. And, you don't want to be self-conscious. It's not fun. It's also not attractive to other people. People who are really self-conscious just come across as like, self-obsessed really and just awkward. But
guilty,
so when people say,
sometimes.
we're all of us, man. But when people say losing yourself, the whole point of losing yourself, they're saying is get rid of the self-consciousness. So remember why you're there and do what it is you love doing. And it's not about impressing them. It's about sharing in your ecstasy, sharing with them your ecstasy. Like, that's why you supposedly do what you do. And if you're doing it in a public way, it's only because you love it so much you want them to sample why you love what you love, And ultimately, that's what it should be.
It's also forgetting your social conditioning, though, as well, because especially with the free running, you've seen a lot of YouTube videos, you know what moves people commonly do. And so it's so quick for people to instantly want to just repeat that. It's removing everything you've seen ever and then getting into that moment of just actually flowing is also losing the...
It's hard, man. That's why people do meditation. That's why they do yoga. That's why, there's all these ways. TM.
Take smart drugs.
Smart drugs, I mean, it's always been about like, it's like, okay, I'm going to go warm up and jog in order to warm up, or I'm going to get this many hours of sleep to get myself the way I need. I mean, this is the kind of diet that energizes me. People know their own subjective, experience.